So I'm Patrick Deane. I'm the president of the university at the moment. It wasn't a job I ever intended when I was a student, an undergrad student. I didn't imagine I would be in this kind of a job. But life has lots of amazing opportunities that present themselves. I always intended to be a lawyer. So I was a law student in Johannesburg. Also was a literature student, but that was the part of me that wasn't too worried about what you do for a living. It was the part of me that was interested in what you do with your mind, But the lawyer thing was what I was interested in doing for a living. And I left South Africa intending to finish my law degree. And I came to Canada with my acceptance letter from Osgoode Hall in my hand. And then I asked them to put it off so I could study English for another year. And they said yes. And then the next year I asked them to put it off again, admission to Osgoode, so that I could carry on studying English, and they told me to get lost. So the question might be, did you ever want to finish it? Do you regret not being a lawyer? All those things. Not really. It was a good experience. Chose to teach literature, and that was great. And, it's opened lots of other doors. So you'll find books here from various some African literatures. It's largely British in focus because that's my area of academic interest. Since you asked what this bookshelf would tell you about me, the one thing I would notice about it is that there's no method at all to where things have been put. It is not alphabetical. It's vaguely just it's as they came out of the box, more or less. This is W.H. Auden's collected poems, which I've been reading my whole life, and they continue to be extremely nourishing to read. And a lot of people remember from high school reading a poem called Musée des Beaux-Arts about Icarus falling from heaven. Do you know that poem? It's about a ship sailing on, and he's looking at a picture. And you know the story about Icarus. He's the son of Daedalus with these wings he'd made. Flies too high to the sun, crashes into the ocean. So that's the tragedy of human aspiration, right? And in the poem, Auden is looking at this picture in the Musée des Beaux-Arts, and he sees a ship sailing off in one direction while Icarus is crashing into the sea over here. And it's a poem about how humans, the tragedies of some people, coexist in time with mundane, routine lives. And I think that's what Auden's getting at there, about how life is always a sort of a rich mix of intense human suffering and aspiration and happiness. And it all is a mix, right? It's all together.
What is one thing you miss about your childhood?
Well, my childhood was a very happy childhood in a very unhappy place. So South Africa I was born in 1956. So things like the Sharpeville massacre occurred very early on. And so my childhood coincides more or less with the hardening of apartheid in South Africa as a system. And in fact, I left just as the country was moving into a state of emergency, and there was an even more dramatic hardening of that system in the country. So it was a very unhappy place in many ways. But for a kid like me, for white kids from a comfortable background, when you were little, you didn't really realize what the price was that was being paid for all of this, and what it was you weren't seeing. I think it's outrageous to say to people at the age of 17 or 18, you need to be anxious about tying yourself down. Because what does that mean? A lifetime of that duration is a fabulously rich thing. and telling people there isn't time to enlarge your mind and your soul through exploring the arts, through thinking about society, through understanding technology. Even if you're absorbed in technology, understanding it as more than simply a tool to achieve one particular end. I think it's a tragedy. The time frame in which we ought to be thinking about our society is multiple decades. We need to be asking, what is the world that you wish to inherit when you're my age, in your 50s? And what is it, therefore, that human beings need to be cultivating in order to bring that about? And an advanced industrialized model of education in which people all have narrow skills, which they do to the exclusion of all else, or in which the only thing that you care about is their immediate contribution to the GDP in the first 5 years after graduation. This is a travesty. And it will mean that in the end, or a couple of decades on, we'll have a society that hasn't thought through the big human questions, or isn't structured in a way so as to help us live with and properly address those big human questions.
What kind of advice on love would you have?
Well, the person who would laugh most uproariously at me offering advice on this would be my wife, I'm sure. Friendship and understanding and compassion are critically important to any relationship. But friendship is really important. I think some of the best relationships, certainly mine, have begun with friendship. And it doesn't really matter what sex the other person is, it doesn't matter where they come from, or all those issues, race, sexual orientation, these things are irrelevant, really. Because the issue is with whom you wish to spend your life.